Hi, I'm Tulsi. Welcome to my channel. Today we are going through a slow flow yoga inspired mobility and strength session. So this is going to be a little bit of a sneaky strength session. We're going to hold movements for a longer period of time. We're going to work into those abdominals. We're going to work into those legs and glutes. And I hope you enjoy this one. It's something kind of different that I've done, especially in the past few weeks. Let me know if you get on with this. Drop me comments in the box below. And let's get started. You are going to need some yoga blocks. If you don't have yoga blocks, they are not essential. They are only just an added sprinkle for your resistance. So please bring them, bring yourself to the mat, and let's get started. So the first thing that we're going to do is start off on the mat. So let's get ourselves into a kneeling position. Remember, if you need some extra blanket or a little bit of cushioning, use your prerogative to what you need today. And I want you to make sure your feet are extended backwards. So the tops of the feet are pushing into the ground. The little pinky toes are pushing into the ground. Your knees are directly below your hips, so you're getting this 90 degree angle. With your fingertips, try and get those fingertips to meet together, and then if they can touch, then open up those fingertips towards the top end of the mat. Push the ground away with the abdominals. So this is a really solid movement. So expand the rib cage. And from the back of the rib cage, you are imagining you're broadening your back from left shoulder to right shoulder, to left shoulder to right hip, from the right shoulder to the left hip, and from left hip to right hip. As you're doing this, push the ground away as if you're trying to resist the ground's force. You're pushing your knees into the mat, and don't forget to focus on the backs of, well, the front of the foot. Technically, you're placing all those 10 toes pushing into the mat. Now this breath alone, so this actually, because you're actively working in this position, I want you to engage the abdominals and keep pushing the ground away, keep broadening the back. And this already, I can feel my abdominals working because I'm actively pulling and engaging my muscles around the abdominals. Keep the left knee where it is, and I want you to extend that right foot back behind you. So keeping yourself where you are, and I just want you to push the ground away with those arms, and this is where you're going to get that calf stretch. Rather than pushing the calf back and the heel back, I want you to almost push the ground away. It's almost like you're just resisting the ground, and that in turn is giving you that little bit of calf stretch. So make sure your right hip is not collapsing. Engage that left knee, squeeze the left glute, and point that right hip down towards the mat. I'm going to be talking a lot. If you haven't noticed already, I'm going to give you a lot of cues on this one, because I don't normally do this, but if I am with you in person, which is pretty much what we're doing, a one-to-one session today, this is what I would cue you. So let's get more efficient in our body awareness, pushing the ground away. Now, if you're feeling your biceps and triceps, that's a good thing. Take a deep breath in. We're gonna rotate that right foot to the knife edge of the mat. Take the left foot back behind you. I'm going to shuffle forward because I don't have that much space. And then rotate that right hand to your hip. Now, ideally, we want that left hand, left knee, and right foot in one plane. So measure it. Is it all the same distance to the edge of the mat? Taking that right hand on your hip. Now, if you've got any neck issues, look down to the floor and take 5 breaths here. You're pushing both hips forward. You're engaging the glutes. Breathe in through the nose and breathe out through the nose. So today's session, if you haven't already noticed, yes, it's a slow flow, but we are going to get into the mind-body connection. If you're feeling bored at any point, focus on the muscle. So whatever you resist persists. So I want you to really focus on squeezing those muscles, squeezing those legs, and the whole body is working. So instead of letting your mind wander, focus on what your arm is doing, how much your left glute is pushing your left hip forward, how much little resistance you've got on your knife edge of the right foot, and how much you can twist that body open towards the ceiling. One more breath here. Beautiful. This time taking that right hand back down into the mat and keeping that leg where it is. Square off those hips and lift that right leg to the sky. Remember, we don't want to elevate that foot too high. We want to square off those hips. We're engaging that belly button. I want you to push the ground away with those hands and hold here for 5 breaths. Breathing in through the nose. Focus on pushing the ground away with those arms. Breathing in. And exhaling through the nose. As you're doing this, focus on that right leg, that right hamstring, that right glute. For those of you who want to take it another level, put the pressure into your right hand and lift that left arm towards your left ear. So remember, we're not collapsing our torso, we're pulling that belly button in. We're lifting that leg, flexing the toes, so pointing the toes towards the floor and reaching from our left fingertip to our right toe. 2 more breaths here. Stay with me. I can definitely feel my left glute engaged, my right hamstring. Last breath. Beautiful. Drop that left hand, drop that right leg. Just take this moment just to swivel out those hips. If you felt anything in your lower back, now this is not your traditional cat-cow for sure, but it really is in the privacy of your own home. Listen, get connected with your body. Rotate the hips, rotate your body. Let's do it the other side because it feels so good. But you know, stepping into that sacral chakra, for those of you who know, I've done meditations on this and I find it absolutely fascinating. So we want to nurture our sensuality, our sexual nature. So let's move on to the next side. So remember, align your knees, so the hip distance. Measure your fingertips so they are definitely shoulder distance. And then lengthen out that left foot. So flexing the heel. Before we actually do anything, inhale here, push the ground away with the hands. And then push forward with those hands. It's almost like you're pushing upwards. And in turn, you're going to feel that big stretch on that left leg, that left calf. Hold it here. If you had your right foot flexed, relax it down to the mat. Use your own discernment. Keep pushing the ground away. Deep breath in. And exhale. 3 more breaths like this. Two more breaths. Oh, my breaths are long, by the way. So you might be going, wait a second, I've already had 5 breaths. If you need to pause, pause. If you want to carry on, please do so. Rotate that left foot on the knife edge of your foot. Take that right leg behind you this time and rotate up towards the sky. Now this is another option here if you wanted to place your left hand on your left hip and look down, perfectly okay. But keep focusing on squeezing the glutes so your hips are both pushing forward. 5 breaths here. As you're doing this, open up the chest, push the ground away with the right hand. Squeeze that right glute, that right hamstring. 3 more breaths. Hone into this moment. Try and feel if there's any resistance around your body. Is there anything that is feeling trapped or tight or blocked? One more breath here. Breathe into that area that is feeling neglected. And then rotate that left hand back down into the mat. Place your right foot back in the middle of the mat and then lift that left leg up. Remember, you're pushing the ground away with those hands. Inhale here, flex the foot, and make sure your left hip is pushing down towards the ground. So we don't want to raise up that leg too high. We don't want to flare up our hip. We want to keep it in nice alignment, really testing our strength right now, pushing the ground away with our hands. 2 more breaths. Flexing the foot that is being engaged, pushing the ground away so it pulls in our abdominals. Last breath here. And then reach for your right hand along your right ear. Keep your forehead down and you may be looking forward about a 45-degree angle. So keep the abdominals pulling in. 5 breaths here. Reaching from the pinky edge of your right hand to the pinky edge of your left foot. 2 more breaths. Push the ground away with that left hand. Last breath. And then drop that right hand down, drop that left foot down. And we're going to go straight into some cat-cow. So if you felt like rotating side to side, please do so. Or you can come into a nice slow cat-cow with me. So extend the chest through the pillows of those arms, push the ground away. And then round that back, chin to chest. Pull the navel in. Let's do that 5 more times and see if you can go slower each and every repetition. So slow it down as we come up into a cow position. Open up the chest, drop the shoulders away from the ears, broaden that torso, pull that navel in as you're pushing the ground away. Now slowly take that chin towards the chest and open up your back. Still dropping those shoulders away from your ears, pushing the ground away with those hands. Same, let's do 4 more like this, as slow as you possibly can. And again, this is all about your abdominals. We are holding in, pulling in, pressurizing those arms, keeping that resistance. Remember to breathe. So we're not moving with our breath. We are breathing into the position. And then as we switch positions, we are inhaling and exhaling through the nose. So this is number 3 on my mat. Try not to pause too long at the bottom or the top end of the position, but try and keep moving in that slow flow. It's almost like you're in super slow mode. So as soon as you reach that top of that arch, you're starting to move back into a cow position. And as soon as you reach that cow position, you are moving straight back into that cow position. So try not to speed it up, no matter how much you want to. The whole point of this one is really honing in on every muscle of our body. And this was the last one for me. So wherever you are, come back into neutral. And this time we're going to take all of the pressure in that left hand, center it up in the middle of your, so you're forming a triangle with your hand and your knees. Take that right hand towards the back of your ear and we're going to rotate. So this is going to come in handy a little bit later. So right elbow to the inner left elbow and then open up towards the sky. Beautiful. Still keeping that control. Rotate that right elbow in towards the left. 3 more like this, not including that one. Rotate down. Breathing as you mean to go. Focus on what's tight, what needs to be released, what needs to just be focused on, and given more love and attention. Good, last one. Inhale and open. Beautiful. Drop that right hand back into the mat, and this time I want you to extend that right leg back again. Sit back into that hip and push the ground away so you stretch that calf. Raise that right leg up towards the sky, and then bend in the knee nice and slow as you possibly can, so it comes to the outside of your right arm. In this position, we're going to hold here for 5 breaths. So try and really sink those hips down. Elevate that spine for 5 breaths here. 5. If you can, open those fingertips up to 10 and 2, and then broaden up that chest. So the aim is almost your armpit is pushing in, or apologies, your knee is pushing into your armpit, and your armpit is kind of resting in that knee. 3 more breaths here. Open up that left hip, open up both sides of the chest. 2 more breaths. Squeeze the left glute, the right glute. This time bring those fingertips in towards one another alongside your right foot. And then just take your right hand over to the right knee. Now this could be enough stretch for you. So dropping that left hip. If you wanted a little bit more sensation, rotate that right foot towards the edge of the mat. About 2 o'clock position. And then if you wanted a little bit more, push the ground away, push the knee away so you can come into a back bend. For those of you who want extra sensation, take that right arm over to the left shoulder and open up towards the sky. So try not to sink into that left shoulder. We're opening up. Inhale here for 2 breaths. Feel the sensation of your body. What's helping in this position? What's being released? And then exhale, right arm towards the sky, drop that arm back into the position, and then just move that right leg back nice and slowly into a nice wide-kneed child's pose position. So just sink your forehead into the mat. Breathe here. One more breath. Beautiful. Look forward towards your hands and then push from your knees up into those hands again. So this time we're going to center that right arm in front. So you're now coming into that narrow triangle between the knees and the right hand. Open up that left hand towards the back of the ear. Take that left elbow to the inside of your right elbow and then open up towards the sky. Nice and slow on this one. Inhale, exhale, open. If you feel like inhaling and exhaling in opposite direction, do that. There is no set rules when it comes to this. Do with what feels good in your body. Last 2 here for me. Last one. See if you can really slow down this rotation. Beautiful. Drop that right hand down. Pick that left knee up. Stretch the back of the leg. And then rotate that knee all the way. See if you can go really slow. It's almost like you're taking your time to bring that left knee towards that left hand. I'm going to scoot my right knee backwards so I can really drop into my right hip. Extend the right toes and just stay here for a few breaths. Feel any tension around the left glute, the left inner thigh, the right hip. Open up the chest a little bit more, taking the hands in 10 and 2. So this time your left armpit is over your left knee. So both arms in 10 and 2. Hold here for a few more breaths. Beautiful. Bring those hands back into alignment underneath your shoulders, and then kick that left foot, over to 10 o'clock on the clock. If you want to, take that left hand to the left inside knee and push it away. So remember, we're not doing a back bend, we're just pushing the knee away, and that's giving us that nice arch in the back. For those who want to extend further, take that left arm and see if you can go all the way back behind you and reach for the right shoulder and open up. Now, this is an option, it is not a requirement. Catch whatever you feel is suited for you at this time, based on your range of movement and where you are today. 2 more breaths here. Open up this side. What is your body telling you here? What needs more attention, more love, more compassion, more softness? How can you soften into this back bend, as yogis usually say? 1 more breath. And then rotate that left arm to the sky, drop it down, and before we move over, come and pick your left foot back into the middle of the mat. So you are now placing your left foot in the middle, and I just want you to focus on pushing the ground away with the left foot, and then come into this low lunge position. So basically, we're not using our arms to do any of the work or any momentum here. We're just using that left foot, pushing into the ground. We are focusing on the right toes, keeping it stable into the mat. So 5 breaths here. Reach up with those hands. If you need to sink a little bit lower, please do so. Remember, your feet should be on railroad tracks, not in alignment. So the left foot is on one side and the right is on the right. 2 more breaths here. Last breath. Beautiful. Now take those fingertips towards the elbows, and I want you to push yourself upwards with your left foot. So your left foot is actually getting you in alignment between your right knee, right hip, and right shoulder. Pause here. If you can, take that left foot and pop it onto the floor. A little bit of a core movement here. So here, I want you to just pick up your right foot. It might take you a little while. Take it forward, and then pushing your hips down because you're pushing your right foot down into the mat. So all 4 corners of the foot, from the toes to the outside of the foot, to the heel, to the inside of the foot, open up. Now, these arms in a square-like position is an option. If you want to stay here to broaden up the chest, please do so. If you wanted to release those arms on your knees, straight up to the sky, whatever you prefer. 3 more breaths here. Open up the chest. And release those arms, stretch up to the sky. Take those arms down alongside your feet. And this time, curl that back toe for the left foot and open up. So we're going to take that knee up off the ground, but I really want you to keep that left leg active. Push the ground away with the left foot. If you can, take that right foot back behind you. We're forming a nice plank position. And as always, measure up. Can you touch the middle fingertips together? And then spread them out wide, pushing the ground away with those hands. The fleshy part of your palms, near your thumb is pushing the ground away. You're really active in this plank position. 3 more breaths here. Inhale. You're working those legs, pushing the ground away with those legs. Working the hamstrings, the glutes, the abdominals. Now you can come into the modified side plank, like dropping your left knee and then coming up into that side plank. If you're coming with me, rotate on the knife edge of both feet. So this is a bit of a challenge. And remember, we're keeping that slow flow. So right elbow, nice and high to the sky. Right arm behind your right ear. Rotate elbow to elbow. We're going to do 5 of these, okay? Nice and slow. If at any point this is a little bit too difficult, pause. Come back to a modification. Inhale and open. Exhale and rotate. 2 more. Stick with me. Inhale. This is so good for your waist. It's so good for your core. So good for your glutes. Last one. Inhale and exhale, rotate. Beautiful. Inhale here. Take that top hand up and over. Breathe here for 5 breaths. Keep focusing on those muscles that are being worked. The glutes, that left glute. Push your left glute up to the sky. Push the left hand into the floor. 2 more breaths. Last breath. Bring that right arm down nice and slow. Woo! Drop the knees. Sit back into those heels and breathe here. Okay, I'm not gonna lie, that was a challenge. If you found that challenging, give yourself a pat on the back. You did the best you can based on where your body is today. Breathe here. And try and just forget about what you just did. You've appreciated, you've done it, and now you're here breathing, reaping the rewards for those efforts, bringing your body back to baseline, back to that homeostasis. Your body is so clever in bringing it back to balance. 1 more breath here. Beautiful. Come, look forward towards those hands and come back into that plank position. So we're going to do that whole thing again, and we're going to rotate over to the other side this time, okay? So plank position, make sure you're measuring up. Are your middle fingers together when you rotate them towards one another? Push your right leg and left leg back into that plank position. Remember, you're pushing the ground away. You're making sure your upper body is working. You're tightening and strengthening those legs as the toes push into the ground, as the heels push to the back of the room. You're tucking your tailbone in. Last breath here. Inhale. Rotate over to the knife edge of your right side this time and open up to a side plank. Left elbow, left palm to the back of the left ear. Rotate elbow to elbow. Inhale and lift. 4 more like this. Remember, you can drop the knee, come into a modification. If it's painful, reel it in. There is no shame in your game if you cannot do the full movement. Based on where you are, based on your body. Inhale, lift. And then exhale, rotate. This is the last one for me. Inhale, lift that arm, rotate it up over your ear and hold for 5 breaths. Keep focusing on the right hip, lifting up. 1 more breath. Drop that left hand down. Ooh. This time, knees nice and wide. You can either go into child's pose or you can come up and just rest your hands on your thighs and open up the chest. So 5 breaths here just to kind of hone in and come back to getting our breath back to normal. Whew, that was a good one. We are still upping our challenges, so if you're still with me, appreciate your body for what it's just given you, for what you were able to do. Beautiful. 2 more breaths here. Beautiful. Okay, this time we're going to go straight into it. We're going to come into a high lunge this time. So on your knees, we're going to take that right foot forward again. Curl that back toe. And I just want you to lift yourself up to a high lunge. Now, when we're in this position, really focus on all the 5 toes of your left foot pushing into the ground. Heel nice and high. We are extending that back leg. Pardon me. Your left hamstring is really pushing up to the sky. I want you to press your right toes, your right heel into the ground. And I want you to rotate that left hip back and rotate that right hip back. So see what balance you have when you rotate that right hip back and then that left hip. So minuscule movements. In this position, we're going to hold here for 5 breaths. If you have that block handy, please do grab it and take those arms up overhead. And in this position, I want you to focus on pulling that hamstring, that left hamstring up towards the sky. Inhale here, and if you can, bend into the right knee. So you're really engaging that hamstring for the left side. You're super engaged with your right foot. Your knee is hovering over your ankle and you're squeezing the glutes and the thighs for both sides of your leg. Inhale here. Exhale. Good. 3 more. See if you can slow down the breath on the last one. Maybe even do a 4 count. So you're breathing in for 4, 3, 2, 1. Oh, your thighs are going to be screaming at you. 4, 3, 2, exhale. This time, what I would like for you to do is push back on that right foot. So come up. So jiggle yourself around however you feel fit. So if you can really force that weight into that right leg this time, keeping that balance where it is, and I want you to just pick that left leg up towards the sky. Now, because we were in that high lunge for a very, very long time, your right glute may be speaking to you. So we're going to hold here if we can. If you've got a wall beside you, this is a perfect example. Your leg doesn't need to come up that high, but I really want you to flex into the feet and hold here for 5 breaths. Now, technically, we've already done 2 breaths whilst I was speaking. So 2 more breaths here. Last breath. Beautiful. Take that block, bring that left foot down, and take that block in between those thighs. So long edge of that block. Remember, this isn't essential, but I want you to take that block in between those thighs, feet hip distance apart. And if you've got another block, hold it in your hands. Extend those arms out into a nice 45-degree angle. Squeeze the glutes, squeeze those thighs, and bend at the knees into that quarter squat position. So breathe here. Breathe here for 5, working the inner thighs, the outer thighs, the glutes. The abdominals are pulling in, the chest is nice and open. This is not about depth, but if you wanted to take that seat a little bit further back, please do so. Inhale and exhale. 2 more breaths here. Pick a point of focus. Focus on the breath. Focus on the muscles that are being worked. Focus on your strength. and the willpower and the determination that you've got right here. Beautiful. Come up to stand this time. Arms up overhead. Just give yourself a little bit of a stretch. Beautiful. We're going to do the whole thing again, but on the other side. So I'm going to place my block back. Place my other block black. Take my left foot forward. So really push your left foot into the ground. The toes are being spread apart. And kick that right leg back. Again, your feet should be on railroad tracks, and I don't want to bend my knee, but if that's where you are today, embrace it. If you can, extend that back leg. I know I need to take it a little bit further back. So I'm pushing the ground away with my left foot, and I'm really extending that right leg, kicking the heel back. If you want to take your hands to prayer in front of your chest, or if you wanted to take that block and hold the block up towards the sky. 5 breaths here. Remember, you're pulling your left hip back, and you're pushing your right hip forward. If you wanted a little bit more bend in the glutes, angle the torso into that 45-degree angle here. Breathe in. 3 more breaths. Don't forget to really extend that back leg. Last breath. Beautiful. Now I'm trying not to move my leg, but if you need to move your leg, please do so. For this position, taking that block beside your chest, and then pick up that right leg. I'm way over my my table now. So, because it's nice and clear, I can still see my foot, but I just didn't want to move my leg because I knew my left leg was nice and solid. Rotate that right hip down. Inhale here, and exhale. 3 more breaths. Point the back foot. Beautiful. Lower that right leg down. I'm going to take that one block in between my thighs now, and the opposite arms, pardon me, the block is in my arms, and I'm going to sit back. So torso is upright, sitting back into my heels. You're probably going to feel a little bit more lighter on your toes because you're pushing your hips back, pulling your navel in. 5 breaths here. Squeeze the block between your thighs if you have it. Stay strong, stay determined, stay focused on where you are. So every time your mind wanders, I want you to bring it back to the muscles you're using, your inside thighs, your glutes, your abdominals, the arms that are keeping you stable, keeping that block where it is. 2 more breaths. Last breath. Beautiful, stand up. Woo, shaky legs. Okay, so I'm going to go into a split squat and then back into that quarter squat position. Okay, so I'm going to keep that block in both of my hands because I'm going to use it as a bit of a guidance. Keep that left foot planted on the ground and taking that right foot back. So all I want to do is basically, it's almost like a foot backwards. So 1 foot back, and then I'm going to come up onto my toes. So I'm grounding my left foot in. I'm taking the block in between those hands, but remember, if you don't have a block, it's okay. Keeping my right knee bent, and what I want to do is soft bend to my left knee. I want to just shift my left hip backwards. That's all I'm doing, shifting my left hip backwards and pushing my torso down towards the ground. This is it. This is it. So as I'm here, I can definitely feel my legs shaking. We're going to hold here for 5 breaths. As we're doing this, our right toe is pushing into the mat. Our left toe, heel, outside of your foot, is pushing into the mat. Our knee is slightly bent on the right side, but I'm pushing my knee away from midline. My left knee is still stacked around my left ankle. and I'm keeping my torso up. I'm keeping my abdominals pulled in. One more breath here. Beautiful. Bring the torso back up to center. Fingertips block back underneath, in between those thighs. Palms forward this time, facing one another. Sit back into those heels, into a quarter squat. See if you can go a little bit deeper this time for 5 breaths. Inhale. Exhale through the nose. For those who want a little bit more of a challenge, you can grab the block and take that block up overhead. Inhale. Exhale. Squeeze the thighs. 3 more breaths. 2 more breaths. See if you can sink a little bit deeper. Last breath. Beautiful. Stand up nice and tall, keeping the block where it is, keeping the feet where they are. Squeeze the abdominals this time, take the block to the chest. We're going to hinge at the hips, keeping the knees nice and soft. Hinge at the hips, hinge at the hips, hinge at the hips. And then reach the block down towards those feet. So my knees are slightly bent and I'm really pushing my hips back. This is our deadlift position. The weight should be in your heels and not your toes. Your toes may lift up ever so slightly. So hold breath here. Squeeze the inner thighs. Squeeze the glutes. 3 more breaths. Guys, you're doing terrific. This is not an easy class. You are doing amazing. Keep pulling that torso in. Bring the weight back into the feet. Push your feet into the ground to get you to stand up so you're not using your lower back, okay? Let's do that whole thing again. And this time I'm planting my right foot, all the weight into my right foot, taking a foot distance apart with my left, up onto my toes. Inhale here, and then exhale, shift my hips back, back, back. Soft bend to my right knee, big bend with my left, and hold here, both hips back. Inhale and exhale for 5 breaths. Your legs are pretty much working as if you are looking at a fizzy bottle of water with all the bubbles bubbling up. This is what's happening to your muscles. You're using isometric strength to really work into the calf, the hamstrings, the quads, the glutes, the abdominals, pulling your navel in so you protect that lower back. 2 more breaths. So you may even feel a little bit of a shake. Come all the way back up to stand, placing that block in between those thighs, feet hip distance apart, and then exhale back into that quarter squat. Inhale, raise those arms up. If you prefer, remember these are all added options. You do not need to take them. Inhale here. Exhale, 4 more breaths. Squeeze the thighs. This is all about the lower body strength work. 3 more breaths. See if you can sink a little bit lower. Last breath. Beautiful. Stand back up. Stay where you are with the feet, taking a chest, block near your chest, and then hinge from the hips here. Big, big bend in the knee. Bend into the knee. And if you can, lower down that block. It's almost like you're just holding this deadlift. So you're squeezing those thighs together. You're pulling your navel in. And this is what we're doing, the holding of a deadlift. Beautiful. 3 more breaths. Last breath. Stand back up by pushing your feet into the floor. Push, 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 push. Lifting your torso up. Beautiful. Let's go back onto the floor this time. So what I'd like for you to do is come into all fours this time. And we're going to do some donkey kicks, some fire hydrants. Okay, so we're just going to do 5 repetitions, but super, super slow. Make sure your left knee is in the middle of the mat. You're pushing the ground away with those palms. And then lift that right leg up to a hover. Beautiful. Flex those feet. Kick that heel towards your head. We're going to lower down. Let the knee hover. And then push back into the sky. So nice and slow. We're going to pause at the top as well. So we're going to lower down, pause at the bottom, and then kick back up, pause at the top. Feel those glutes work. And because you did so much isometric work on the standing sequence, lower the knee, you are definitely going to feel those glutes work. So you don't need to do constant repetitions to get those muscles to work. You just need to focus on the left glute, the hamstring, the right glute, the hamstring. Last one for here. Lower it down. And this time, I want you to bend that left elbow and take your left hand over to the right hand. So it's almost like you're touching your right hand. Keep that right knee hovered and then lift up to a 90-degree angle. Lower down with control. So again, we're working the outside gluteus medius, gluteus maximus, and that really difficult part to spot and work is the gluteus medius. 3 more like this, nice and slow. Beautiful. Last 2, squeezing the abdominals. Push the ground away with that right hand, with that left elbow. Last one. Open, open, and then lower down with control. Sit back into the heels, into the hips. Just give yourself a little bit of a stretch. We're going to do this whole thing again, but on the left side this time, okay? So pulling that navel in, center your right foot on the mat, in between those hands. So now it's creating a triangle with both hands and one knee. Lift that left knee up towards the sky, push the ground away. So we don't want to arch our back here. We want to keep our back in neutral. Engage the abdominals, push the ground away. And your knee does not even need to come up that high. Flex that heel towards the head. Lower down with control. Let it hover. And then kick that heel up. Keep pushing that left hip towards the ground. Inhale here. Exhale, pull that navel in. Beautiful. 3 more. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. I bet you weren't expecting this one when I talked about slow flow, right? So this is a tough class, but you guys are doing awesome. Last one. Beautiful. Keep that left knee hovered. Bend the right elbow. Take the right arm on top of your left and open up to a fire hydrant with your left knee. Lower with control. Inhale. Open, hold. Flex the foot. Lower with control. Inhale. Flex the foot. Lower with control. 2 more. Inhale, flex. Lower with control. Last one. Inhale. And lower. Beautiful. Okay. Our last sequence, I promise, we are done after this. So lay down onto the side. So there's 2 options for you. You may either lay all the way down but pick up the abdominals, or you can keep your elbow underneath your shoulder, and it really gives you that nice core control. Kick your feet outwards, heels behind you. In this, we're going to take our right thumb to our right glute. Here, I want you to open up the knees. We're going to do 10 repetitions, nice and slow. So push the ground away with the left elbow, open up the chest, and the knees open, hold. Lower with control. So when you're doing this slow movement, I really want you to focus on squeezing that right outside glute. Good. 7 to go on my mat, so nice and slow. Keep squeezing the abdominals in, hips stacked upon hip. Last 5. Beautiful. pushing both hips forward so our glutes are working. Last 4, nice and slow. 3, keeping those heels together. 2, last 1. Beautiful. Keeping that knee up, hold it here. Now this is optional, you can just drop it down. I'm going to kick my elbow up a little bit further forward. Take my right arm to the back of my head. My right elbow is now going to come to the left wrist. Open up and then exhale, rotate. Keep those glutes squeezed. Inhale, exhale, rotate. Good. 7 more like this. Inhale, exhale, rotate. Keep squeezing the elbows into the floor, up to the sky, pulling in that navel. Good. Don't forget that right knee. Do not let it drop. Squeeze the glutes. It's so purposeful to work those glutes in the isometric hold, but we're distracting ourselves by the abdominal work. Last 3. Inhale, lift. This is probably the fastest movement we've done. Last 2. Keep that top knee raised. Last 1. Beautiful. We are not done yet. Keep that elbow nice and high. Do not drop that torso. Extend that right knee. And then now take elbow to knee and then open up. So we can take our top hand over and then bring elbow to knee. 3 more like this. Reach, reach, reach. Elbow to knee. Good. Last 2. Squeeze those legs. Beautiful. Last 1. Reach and then squeeze. I can do that whole thing again on the other side. Knees are in front. Heels are kicked back. And remember, pulling in that torso. Right elbow is pushing into the mat. And then we're going to squeeze, taking that left thumb to the left glute. So again, we're squeezing up and lowering with control, making the most of these reps. Beautiful. Squeeze and lower. Whew. I hope you have been able to stay present with me throughout this sequence, because we are almost done. We are so, so close. Keep pulling in that navel. I promise I am counting. We've got 5 more to go, nice and slow. That's all you need to focus on. Focus on the glutes, focus on opening the knee. Beautiful. Keep that hip stacked upon hip. Good. Last 4. Last 3. 2. Last 1. Amazing. Keeping that knee up. Oh yeah, this is shaky. Taking that left hand to the back of the left ear and rotate. Left elbow to right wrist. Open up. 5 here. Rotate and open. Last 4. Rotate and open. 3. Keep breathing. 2. Can you smile with me? 1. Oh goodness. Okay, this time elbow to knee. Extend, extend, extend. Last 4. Really extend the arm out. Push the ground over with the elbow. 3. Keep breathing. 2. And 1. Reach, reach, reach. Beautiful. Now we're not done yet. I just want you to come back into a nice seated position. Feet and heels together if you feel comfortable in doing so. If you've got a wall, try and get yourself into a backed position so your back is nice and straight. So before we finish off, just do some neck stretches, especially if those shoulders got a little bit tight in that last movement. And all I'm going to get you to do is wrap your fingertips around the toes if you can, or if your feet are further away, just hold on to your shins or your knees. Take the chin towards your chest and drop your shoulders away from your ears. Breathe here for 5 breaths. think about any tension you may be holding on around that neck or the shoulder area. See if you can exert some compassion to this area, a little bit of love in that area of tension. 2 more breaths. Nice and slowly as you inhale, come back up to center. And thank you so much for joining me here today. Thank you so much for allowing me to go through this slow flow sequence. If you did enjoy this and you found that it really did push and challenge you in the best way possible, let me know in the comments box. Hopefully I will see you back here on the mat. So make sure you hit subscribe and click the notification bell so you don't miss out on future videos. I'm sending you so much love. Thank you so much for joining me and being here today. Many, many blessings. Speak to you soon. Bye.